in the heart of a dense forest, where towering trees stretched their arms skyward and thick underbrush tangled beneath. Anna wandered aimlessly, her footsteps faltering against the uneven ground. The sky overhead had darkened abruptly, clouds swirling in ominous patterns as a storm threatened to break. Each breath she drew felt shallow and heavy, a mixture of exhaustion and the sharp edge of fear. Her hand instinctively rested on her swollen belly, the life growing within her both a source of strength and vulnerability. For days, Anna had been moving forward without clear direction, her mind clouded by a haze of uncertainty and pain. The forest, once a place of quiet solace, now seemed to close in around her, every snapping twig and rustling leaf echoing in her ears. As the first drops of rain began to fall, she quickened her pace, desperate to find shelter before the storm unleashed its full fury. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss a new video. And tell me, where are you watching this video from? I love seeing all different people come together for these stories. Through the shifting shadows, a faint outline emerged. A structure, weathered and worn, standing solitary amidst the trees. It was an old shack, its wooden beams gray from years of exposure, the roof sagging under the weight of neglect. The sight of it stirred a flicker of hope within Anna, a promise of refuge from the cold and wet that threatened to consume her. With trembling limbs, she approached the shack, the rain now falling steadily, soaking through her thin jacket and clinging to her damp hair. The door hung slightly ajar, creaking softly as the wind pushed against it. Anna hesitated, uncertainty warring with necessity. The thought of entering a stranger's shelter was daunting, yet the alternative, remaining exposed to the storm, felt far worse. Summoning what little courage remained, she pushed the door open wider and stepped inside. The air was musty, heavy with the scent of aged wood and earth. But it was dry, shielded from the relentless rain outside. Her eyes adjusted to the dim interior, revealing a small space cluttered with remnants of life. A fire pit, cold but intact, sat in the center, surrounded by scattered stones darkened by soot. Nearby, worn blankets lay folded unevenly on a wooden bench, their faded colors muted in the low light. These signs of recent use startled Anna. She had expected abandonment, desolation, but here was evidence that someone had been here before her. Someone who might have found solace within these walls, just as she hoped to. The thought was both comforting and unsettling, a reminder that the forest held stories beyond her own. Anna sank onto the bench, the weight of her body pressing down in relief. Her breathing slowed, the steady rhythm a balm against the turmoil inside. As she rested, her fingers brushed the coarse fabric of the blankets, their rough texture grounding her in the present. The storm's fury raged beyond the thin walls, but within this humble refuge, there was a fragile peace. She closed her eyes, letting the sounds of rain tapping against the roof mingle with the steady beating of her heart. The shack, with its quiet endurance and simple warmth, became a sanctuary from the chaos that had driven her here. It was a place where she could pause, gather strength, and face the uncertain path ahead. Yet, beneath the surface of relief, a quiet unease lingered. The shack was unfamiliar, its history unknown. Who had lived here? Why had they left? And what stories were etched into the worn floorboards and faded blankets? Anna's curiosity stirred, mingling with her fear and fatigue, as she contemplated the mysteries that awaited discovery within these walls. For now, though, she allowed herself to simply be, to rest in the shelter offered by the shack and the fragile hope it represented. The storm would pass, as all storms do, and with it, perhaps, a chance for new beginnings. As the storm outside continued its relentless assault, Anna found herself restless within the confines of the weathered shack. The initial relief she had felt upon finding shelter began to intertwine with a growing curiosity, drawing her attention to the small details scattered about the dim interior. The flickering light from a lantern perched on a rickety table cast long shadows across the walls, revealing the texture of aged wood marked by countless seasons and secrets. Her gaze settled on a collection of faded photographs pinned to a cracked wooden beam near the hearth. The images, yellowed with time and edges curled, depicted a solitary man in various moments of his life, standing amid the forest, mending a fence, sometimes smiling with a rare tenderness that seemed out of place against the backdrop of wilderness. His eyes, though captured in stillness, held a depth of loneliness and resilience that resonated with Anna's own silent struggles. Beside the photographs lay a worn, leather-bound journal, its cover cracked and softened by years of handling. Anna hesitated before opening it, unsure what she might find within, yet feeling compelled to uncover the story concealed in those pages. As she flipped through the delicate sheets, her eyes traced the neat, deliberate handwriting that told of a man's life lived on the edge of solitude. The entries spoke of days marked by the harshness of nature's whims, bitter winters that numbed fingers and toes, summers scorched by unyielding sun, and nights spent under a canopy of stars that offered both wonder and isolation. The writer chronicled battles with loneliness and the relentless demands of survival, painting a portrait of a man who had forged a fragile existence in harmony with the untamed forest. Anna's fingers trembled slightly as she read words that echoed her own fears and hopes. The man who had inhabited this shack was not unlike her, a soul reaching out to find meaning amid hardship. His reflections on longing for connection and the solace found in small joys stirred something deep within her, a quiet kinship bridging the gap between their isolated experiences. The journal revealed more than mere survival. It spoke of a yearning for purpose, a desire to leave a mark on a world that often felt indifferent. The man wrote of planting trees, repairing the shack with care, and moments of unexpected beauty, a wildflower blooming defiantly through cracked earth, the song of a distant bird at dawn. These glimpses of tenderness softened the harshness of his solitude and offered Anna a window into a life shaped by both struggle and grace. As the hours slipped by, Anna found herself lost in the narrative, the shack transforming from a mere shelter into a vessel of shared humanity. The man's story became a mirror reflecting her own journey, the pain of abandonment, the fear of the unknown, and the fragile hope that sustained her through the darkest moments. In this quiet communion, the boundaries between past and present blurred, weaving a tapestry of resilience that stretched across time. The rain outside softened to a gentle patter, the storm's fury giving way to a calm that matched the stillness inside. Anna closed the journal carefully, placing it back where she had found it, but the words lingered in her mind like a whispered promise. The shack was more than a refuge. It was a testament to endurance, a reminder that even in solitude, one's story mattered. Her thoughts drifted to her own unborn child, a new life poised to enter a world filled with uncertainty. The man's reflections on finding purpose amid isolation offered a flicker of guidance. Perhaps, like him, she could carve out a space where love and hope could take root despite the odds. The shack, once a symbol of desolation, now held the potential to become a foundation for renewal. Anna rose from the bench, moving to the small window where raindrops traced slow paths down the glass. Beyond the frame, the forest stood silent and vast, a living testament to cycles of death and rebirth. She pressed her palm against the cool pane, feeling a connection to the land and to the man whose story had unfolded within these walls. In that moment, the shack ceased to be merely a place of shelter. It became a bridge between two solitary souls, a silent witness to their shared struggles and quiet triumphs. Anna understood that her journey was not hers alone, but part of a continuum of lives shaped by courage and the enduring human spirit. As twilight deepened outside, casting the forest into shades of indigo and shadow, Anna settled back onto the bench, the journal resting beside her. The storm had passed, leaving behind a world washed clean and brimming with possibility. Within the humble confines of the shack, surrounded by echoes of the past, she felt a tentative but growing strength, a readiness to face whatever lay ahead, buoyed by the unspoken bond, forged between herself and the unknown man who had once called this place home. The dim light inside the shack flickered as a quiet evening settled over the forest, wrapping Anna in a cocoon of solitude. The journal lay open in her lap, but her eyes had drifted beyond the words, pulled inward by memories she had long tried to bury. The worn pages had stirred something fragile and raw, and she found herself adrift in a sea of recollections, fragments of a past that had led her here, to this isolated refuge. Her mind traced back to the days before the forest, before the storm and the endless wandering. She remembered the small apartment she once called home, the walls crowded with the echoes of arguments and silence. There was a man, his presence both a comfort and a source of pain. Their relationship had been a fragile thread, stretched thin by unspoken fears and shattered trust. The day he left, abandoning her with the weight of a life yet to be born, had shattered the fragile semblance of stability she clung to. Anna's breath hitched as the memories flooded in. The coldness of the empty apartment, the hollow ache of abandonment, and the overwhelming uncertainty that followed. The forest had become an escape, a place where she could lose herself and the fears that gnawed at her heart. Yet, beneath the surface of her flight lay a deeper reckoning with loss, not only of a partner, but of the future she had envisioned, now slipping through her fingers like sand. The shack, with its silent history and echoes of loneliness, mirrored her own inner landscape. It was a place of refuge, but also a crucible where pain and hope collided. As she sat on the rough bench, Anna confronted the truth she had long avoided, that she was not merely lost in the forest, but lost within herself. The journey ahead demanded more than physical survival. It required facing the shadows of her past and the fears that threatened to consume her. A sharp pang in her abdomen reminded her of the life growing inside, a fragile spark of hope amid the darkness. That life was both a burden and a blessing, a reminder that she was not alone, even when the world had turned its back on her. The shack's faded walls seemed to breathe with her resolve, their quiet endurance a silent encouragement to find strength within. Memories of her own mother surfaced, distant and complicated. A woman who had offered little comfort, but whose resilience had been a silent inheritance. Anna recalled the rare moments of tenderness, fleeting glimpses of love that had shaped her despite the absence of nurture. Those memories, tangled with pain and longing, fueled a determination to chart a different path for her child. She thought of the solitary man who had once inhabited the shack, his journal a testament to survival and solitude. His reflections on loneliness and purpose resonated deeply, offering an unspoken kinship. Like him, she was wrestling with isolation, seeking meaning amid hardship. But unlike his story, hers held the promise of new life, a chance to break free from the cycle of abandonment and fear. Anna's fingers traced the edges of the journal, a tangible connection to a stranger whose experiences mirrored her own in unexpected ways. The shack had become more than a shelter. It was a crucible for transformation. Here, she could confront the pain that had driven her into the wilderness and begin to forge a new identity, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a woman determined to reclaim her life. The night deepened, and the forest outside settled into a hush, the distant call of an owl punctuating the stillness. Anna closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel the weight of her emotions without judgment. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not of surrender, but of release, a cleansing of sorrow and fear that had festered too long. In that vulnerable moment, she made a silent vow to face the unknown with courage, to nurture the life within her with love, and to find strength in the resilience that had carried her this far. The shack, weathered and worn, stood as a symbol of endurance, a reminder that even amidst brokenness, there was space for healing and growth. As dawn approached, casting pale light through the cracked window, Anna felt a subtle shift within, a stirring of hope that had been dormant beneath layers of pain. The past, with all its scars, would not define her future. Instead, it would serve as a foundation upon which she could build a life marked by compassion and strength. She rose from the bench, her body aching but her spirit steadied. The shack's silence enveloped her, no longer oppressive but reassuring, a sanctuary where she could confront her fears and embrace the possibilities ahead. In the quiet dawn, Anna prepared to face the challenges of the coming days, carrying with her the unspoken stories of those who had come before and the promise of the life yet to come. Morning light filtered softly through the cracked window, casting a gentle glow over the small interior of the shack. Anna stirred awake on the rough bench, the faint scent of damp wood mingling with earth and rain. The stillness of the forest seeped into the room, a quiet reminder of the solitude she had embraced and the fragile sanctuary she was beginning to call home. Rising carefully, she stretched aching muscles and glanced around the space with fresh eyes. The shack was humble but sturdy. Its imperfections told stories of endurance rather than neglect. The scattered belongings she had discovered the night before, the worn blankets, the cold fire pit, the leather-bound journal, now felt less like relics of a stranger's past, more like pieces of a puzzle she was slowly assembling for herself. Motivated by a newfound resolve, Anna set about cleaning the small room, her movements deliberate and steady. She retrieved a damp cloth from a makeshift shelf, wiping away layers of dust and cobwebs from the wooden table and floorboards. The act of care, simple and tangible, began to ease the tightness in her chest. The weight of uncertainty and fear momentarily lifted by the rhythm of her work. As she folded the blankets neatly and swept the floor with a worn broom found tucked in a corner, Anna's mind wandered. The shack was more than a refuge from the storm. It was becoming a place where she might rebuild not just her body, but her spirit. Each careful gesture transformed the space from a forgotten shelter into a cozy sanctuary, a foundation for the new life she was preparing to welcome. In the corner of the room, she found a small wooden box that had escaped her notice the night before. Opening it revealed preserved food, dried fruits, nuts, and a few tins of beans, alongside basic tools and a small medicine kit. The discovery brought a flicker of relief. These supplies meant she could sustain herself for longer than she had dared hope, easing the immediate pressure of survival. Anna examined the medicine kit with cautious fingers, noting bandages, herbal salves, and a bottle of antiseptic. The knowledge that someone had once cared enough to prepare for the hardships of this remote place stirred a sense of connection, as though the shack was quietly welcoming her into a lineage of resilience. Settling back onto the bench, she allowed herself a moment to breathe deeply, the scent of pine and damp earth filling her lungs. The simple act of tending to this space had rekindled a spark within her, a fragile hope that she could nurture herself and the child within her. Even in this solitude, her thoughts drifted to the coming weeks, to the preparations necessary for the baby's arrival. The blankets could be softened with time. The fire pit could provide warmth and comfort during cold nights, and the preserved food could sustain them through the uncertain days ahead. Though the shack was bare, it held the promise of safety and stability. Anna's gaze returned to the journal, still resting on the table. She reached for it, flipping through the pages once more, but this time with a different perspective. The man's reflections on survival, purpose, and quiet joys no longer felt like distant echoes, but like guiding whispers, encouraging her to find strength in small victories and simple acts of care. The shack's history, intertwined with this unknown man's struggles and endurance, became a source of inspiration rather than sorrow. His preparation for the harsh realities of this life mirrored her own need to face the challenges ahead with pragmatism and courage. She would learn from his example, transforming fear into action and despair into hope. Outside, the forest stirred with life. The rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the gentle patter of a creek nearby. Anna stepped to the doorway, letting the cool morning air wash over her face. The world beyond the shack was vast and unpredictable. But within this small space, she had carved out a sanctuary where she could gather strength. Her hand rested on her belly, feeling the subtle movements of the child growing inside. The life she carried was a beacon in the darkness, a reason to endure and to heal. The shack, once a forgotten relic, was now a vessel for that hope, a place where they could both find shelter and begin anew. As the day unfolded, Anna gathered twigs and dried leaves from beneath the trees, preparing to rekindle the fire pit. The warmth of a fire would bring comfort, light, and a sense of home. She arranged the kindling carefully, mindful of the delicate balance between fuel and flame. When the first spark caught, a flickering glow illuminated the room, casting dancing shadows that seemed to breathe life into the shack's weathered walls. Sitting by the fire, Anna allowed herself to relax, the heat seeping into her bones and easing the ache of travel and uncertainty. The flickering flames mirrored the flicker of hope within her, a fragile but persistent light in the midst of darkness. Throughout the afternoon, she continued to organize and clean, moving methodically to make the space her own. She found old jars and cleaned them for water storage, arranged the blankets to create a soft nest, and inventoried the supplies left behind. Each task was a step toward reclaiming control over her life, a small act of defiance against the chaos that had brought her here. As evening approached, Anna prepared a simple meal from the preserved food, savoring each bite despite its modesty. The act of nourishing herself felt like a ritual of survival and self-love, an acknowledgement that she deserved care and comfort, even in the most unlikely of places. The shack, once a silent witness to another's solitude, was transforming into a home. Its walls held the echoes of past struggles, but also the seeds of new beginnings. Anna's hands, once trembling with uncertainty, now moved with purpose and intention, shaping her environment and, in turn, shaping herself. As night settled in, the fire crackled softly, casting a warm glow that chased away the shadows. Anna sat close, the baby stirring gently within her, and she whispered promises of safety and love. The shack was no longer just a shelter from the storm. It was a sanctuary where hope could grow, nurtured by the quiet strength of a woman determined to face whatever lay ahead. The gentle crackling of the fire was interrupted by a sound that made Anna freeze, a soft rustling beyond the doorway. Her heart pounded as she stood, eyes scanning the shadows outside the shack. The forest, once a silent companion, now seemed alive with unseen movement. The rain had ceased, leaving behind a dampness that clung to the earth and foliage, muffling footsteps but not the sense of presence. A figure emerged cautiously from the trees, a man whose rugged frame was silhouetted against the fading light. His clothes were practical and worn, suited to the wilderness that surrounded them. In his hands, he carried a bundle of firewood, and his eyes, sharp and steady, held a mixture of curiosity and caution. Anna's breath caught in her throat as he approached the doorway, his gaze flickering to the smoke rising from the fire pit. He stopped a few feet away, nodding a silent greeting that conveyed both respect and wariness. For a moment, the two stood in fragile silence, the tension between them palpable. The man's voice was low but steady when he finally spoke. "I saw the smoke from the trail. Thought someone might be here." His accent was rough, shaped by years of living close to the land. "Name's Caleb." Anna hesitated, uncertainty warring with the instinct to trust. The forest had taught her caution, and yet the presence of another human, especially one who had noticed her, was both alarming and strangely comforting. She nodded in response, her voice barely above a whisper. "Anna." Caleb stepped closer, setting the firewood down gently near the entrance. "This shack isn't easy to find," he said, glancing around as if to confirm his words. "You're lucky it's still standing." A flicker of gratitude warmed Anna's chest. Here was someone who knew this place, someone who might understand the solitude she had sought. She found herself sharing a brief version of her story, the storm, the search for shelter, the journey through the forest. Caleb listened without interruption, his eyes steady and unjudging. When she finished, he nodded thoughtfully. "You're stronger than you think. Not many would make it this far, especially alone and expecting." His words carried an unspoken acknowledgement of the challenges she faced, and for the first time in days, Anna felt a sliver of hope. Caleb moved inside the shack with practiced ease, gathering the firewood and tending the flames to keep the fire alive. His presence was steadying, a balm against the uncertainty that had shadowed her since arriving. As the fire grew, its warmth seeped into the room and into Anna's bones, chasing away the lingering chill. Over the next hours, their conversation unfolded slowly, like the gentle unwrapping of layers. Caleb spoke of the forest, its rhythms, its dangers, its hidden beauty. He shared tales of his own struggles, of a life shaped by loss and endurance, mirroring in some ways the story Anna had uncovered in the shack's journal. Anna found herself opening up in ways she had long resisted. The isolation that had once seemed necessary began to feel less like a shield and more like a barrier. Caleb's steady presence offered a chance to rebuild trust, to find companionship without judgment. At one point, Caleb produced a small bundle of herbs from his pack, wild sage and lavender, and explained their uses. He showed Anna how to prepare a simple infusion to soothe nausea and ease tension, practical knowledge born of years living close to nature. The act of learning, of caring for herself with these natural remedies, became another thread weaving connection between them. As evening deepened, Caleb offered to help organize the supplies Anna had found. Together, they inventoried the preserved food and medicine kit, planning how best to use and replenish them. Their collaboration transformed the solitary task into a shared mission, fostering a sense of partnership that Anna had not anticipated. Despite the growing bond, boundaries remained carefully respected. Caleb never pressed for more than Anna was willing to share, and she appreciated the balance of support and space he offered. In this fragile dance, trust began to take root, tentative but real. When night fully settled over the forest, Caleb prepared a simple meal from provisions he carried, a stew rich with wild vegetables and herbs. The aroma filled the shack, mingling with the scent of pine and smoke. Sharing the meal by firelight, they talked quietly of hopes and fears, of past wounds and future possibilities. Anna listened as Caleb spoke of his own losses: a family fractured by tragedy, a home lost to circumstances beyond control. His vulnerability, shared without bitterness, mirrored her own desire to move beyond pain, toward healing. In that exchange, the shack no longer felt like a place of isolation, but a hearth around which two wounded souls could find warmth. Before Caleb left for the night, he offered a reassuring smile. "I'll check on you tomorrow," he said simply. "You're not alone here." Anna watched him disappear into the shadows of the forest, a strange mixture of apprehension and gratitude swirling within her. The encounter had shifted something fundamental, a flicker of connection amid the vast wilderness, a promise that survival need not be solitary. As she settled back beside the fire, the baby stirring softly within, Anna felt the fragile beginnings of trust take root. The shack, once a silent refuge, had become a place where kindness and companionship might grow alongside hope and resilience. The days that followed Caleb's visit unfolded with a quiet rhythm, the shack and its surroundings slowly transforming under the steady hands of two people learning to share space and purpose. Morning light filtered through the worn window, casting a soft glow on the blankets Anna had arranged into a makeshift cradle. The life growing inside her moved gently beneath her palm, a steady reminder of the new beginning she was preparing to embrace. With Caleb's guidance, Anna began to prepare the shack for the baby's arrival, weaving practical knowledge and tender care into every task. They gathered soft blankets and old quilts Caleb had found in a nearby abandoned cabin, washing and airing them in the fresh forest breeze. Each piece was carefully folded and layered, creating a nest of warmth and comfort that felt like a promise of safety. Caleb showed her how to collect and dry herbs: lavender for calm, chamomile for soothing, and comfrey for healing. Together, they fashioned small sachets to hang near the sleeping area, filling the shack with gentle fragrances that eased anxiety and welcomed rest. The simple acts of tending to these preparations grounded Anna, shifting her focus from fear to hope. Their conversations deepened with each shared moment, revealing layers of their pasts and the dreams they dared to hold. Caleb spoke of the forest as both a harsh teacher and a generous provider, its cycles mirroring the ebb and flow of life. Anna shared fragments of her own story, the loss, the loneliness, and the fragile hope that had carried her through the wilderness. In the evenings, they sat by the fire, weaving stories and silences into a tapestry of companionship. Caleb's steady presence was a balm to Anna's restless spirit, and she found herself leaning into the trust that was blossoming between them. There was no rush, no demand, only the gentle unfolding of connection built on respect and shared vulnerability. Together, they gathered supplies: blankets, herbs, and simple tools, carefully organizing them within the shack's limited space. Caleb taught Anna how to prepare a birthing area, clearing and sanitizing the floor near the fire pit, ensuring warmth and accessibility. The practical knowledge he shared was tempered with empathy, a reminder that strength and tenderness could coexist. Anna's body, though often weary, responded to the care she was receiving, and the movements of her baby grew stronger beneath her touch. The shack, once a place of solitude, now hummed with the quiet energy of preparation, a sanctuary where new life could take root. One afternoon, as the sun filtered through the canopy in golden shafts, Caleb helped Anna tend a small garden patch near the shack. They planted fast-growing herbs and vegetables, dill, parsley, and lettuce, nurturing the earth together. The act of cultivating life from the soil was a powerful symbol for Anna, a tangible expression of hope and renewal. Their hands worked side by side, the rhythm of planting and tending weaving a silent promise of growth. Caleb spoke softly of the importance of community, of how even in remote places, connections could be forged through shared labor and kindness. Anna listened, absorbing the possibility of belonging beyond the forest's edge. As days turned into weeks, the bond between Anna and Caleb deepened, built on trust and mutual care. They spoke openly of fears and hopes, of what it meant to create family from unlikely beginnings. Caleb's kindness was steady, never intrusive, allowing Anna the space to embrace vulnerability without losing herself. One evening, as twilight bathed the shack in soft hues, Anna found herself sharing a hope she had long kept guarded, the wish to give her child a life filled with love and security, free from the shadows of abandonment and fear. Caleb listened with quiet understanding, his presence a steady anchor in the shifting tides of her emotions. Together, they crafted plans for the future, a home built not just of wood and stone, but of trust and shared strength. The shack, once a refuge for a solitary man, was becoming a cradle for new life and chosen family. As the days grew warmer, Anna felt the first subtle signs of labor approaching. With Caleb's support, she prepared the space with care, arranging blankets, gathering herbs, and ensuring the fire pit was ready to provide warmth and comfort. Each preparation was a step toward embracing the unknown, a testament to the resilience they had nurtured together. In the quiet moments before nightfall, Anna stood at the doorway, the forest stretching endlessly before her. She inhaled deeply, the scents of pine, earth, and herbs mingling in the cool air. Beside her, Caleb's steady gaze met hers, a silent affirmation that she would not face this journey alone. The shack, humble and weathered, held within its walls the promise of new beginnings, a testament to the power of kindness, trust, and the courage to embrace life's fragile gifts. Together, Anna and Caleb stood ready to welcome the child who would anchor their shared future, a symbol of hope blossoming amid the wilderness. The night had fallen thick and heavy over the forest, the sky swallowed by a furious storm that raged with relentless intensity. Winds howled through the towering pines, shaking the fragile walls of the shack, while rain battered the roof in a steady, unyielding drum. Inside, the small fire flickered, casting dancing shadows that seemed to sway in time with the tempest outside. Anna's breath came in shallow gasps, each wave of pain rolling through her body more fierce than the last. Labor had begun with sudden urgency, the contractions tightening and pulling with a force that both terrified and awed her. She clutched the edge of the wooden bench, knuckles white, seeking an anchor amid the storm raging within and without. Caleb was at her side, his presence steady and unwavering. His hands, calloused from years of labor, moved with practiced care, offering cool cloths, gentle words, and unwavering support. His voice, low and calm, cut through the howling wind outside. "Breathe, Anna. In and out. You're strong. You can do this." The shack, once a sanctuary of quiet preparation, had transformed into a chamber of raw, primal life. The fire's warmth battled the chill poured in by the storm, the flames flickering defiantly against the shadowed corners. Every creak and groan of the old wood echoed the tension and hope that filled the room. Anna's body tensed and released, each contraction a wave crashing over her, pulling her toward a moment she had long feared yet desperately awaited. Caleb's hands never faltered, his touch gentle but firm as he guided her through each surge of pain. He whispered encouragements, reminding her of the strength she carried inside, a wellspring she had only recently begun to trust. Outside, the storm's fury seemed to mirror the intensity within, nature's wild rhythm aligning with the cycle of birth. Lightning flashed briefly, illuminating the forest in stark white before plunging it back into darkness. Rain sluiced down in torrents, beating against the windows like a relentless drumbeat. As hours passed, the shack became a world unto itself, a place suspended between past and future, between struggle and triumph. Anna's cries mingled with the wind's howl, a testament to the fierce determination that had carried her through so much already. Then, in a moment that felt both eternal and fleeting, the storm outside began to abate. The wind softened, the rain tapered to a gentle patter, and a quiet settled over the forest. Inside, a new sound emerged, a fragile, tentative cry that pierced the night with the promise of life. Anna's tears mingled with sweat and relief as Caleb carefully lifted the newborn into her arms. The child's skin was soft and warm, a delicate pulse of life against the wildness that had preceded. Anna cradled the baby close, feeling a surge of love and fierce protectiveness unlike anything she had known. The shack, once a place of solitude and survival, now overflowed with new life and possibility. The fire's glow softened, casting a gentle light on mother and child, weaving warmth into the quiet aftermath. Caleb sat nearby, his eyes reflecting both exhaustion and profound joy. They named the child Lily, a symbol of delicate beauty and resilience, blooming in the midst of a wilderness that had tested them all. As Anna held Lily close, the shack seemed to breathe with them, a silent witness to the miracle of survival and renewal. Outside, the forest whispered its ancient songs. The storm passed, but its echoes lingering like a memory of what had been overcome. Within the humble walls of the shack, a new chapter had begun, a testament to endurance, hope, and the unyielding power of life. The days that followed Lily's birth unfolded like the gentle unfurling of a new leaf, slow, tender, and filled with quiet joy. The shack, once merely a refuge from the storm and solitude, blossomed into a home alive with laughter, whispered lullabies, and the soft coos of a newborn discovering the world. Anna and Caleb moved through their days with a shared purpose, their bond deepening as they navigated the delicate balance of healing and growth. Anna cradled Lily close, marveling at the tiny fingers and soft breaths that filled the room with life. Each smile, each flutter of eyelids, was a beacon of hope that illuminated the shadows of past hardships. Caleb watched with a quiet pride, offering gentle support as Anna settled into motherhood with a strength that surprised even herself. Together, they tended to the shack, transforming it from a bare shelter into a warm sanctuary. Caleb repaired the sagging roof, reinforcing the walls against the changing seasons, while Anna arranged hand-woven blankets and soft cushions to create cozy corners for Lily's naps and play. The space, once marked by loneliness, now echoed with the rhythms of family. In the mornings, they would step outside to greet the forest, its vibrant life mirroring their own renewal. Anna planted a small garden near the shack's edge, cultivating herbs and vegetables that promised nourishment and connection to the earth. Caleb helped build a simple wooden fence, marking the boundary between their home and the wild, a symbol of safety and belonging. Neighbors from nearby homesteads began to visit, drawn by the smoke rising from the chimney and the soft sounds of new life. They brought gifts of fresh bread, jars of honey, and knitted clothes for Lily, their kindness weaving Anna and Caleb into the fabric of the community. With each visit, walls of isolation crumbled, replaced by the warmth of chosen family. Anna found herself sharing stories of the shack's past occupant, the solitary man whose journal had been a guide and companion during her darkest hours. The community listened with empathy, inspired by the resilience that had carried her to this new beginning. Together, they envisioned a future where the shack could serve as a haven for others facing similar struggles. As weeks turned into months, Anna's confidence grew. She learned to balance the demands of motherhood with her own dreams and healing, supported by Caleb's steadfast presence. They navigated sleepless nights and the joys of first smiles, their partnership a testament to the power of trust and shared purpose. The garden flourished under their care, vibrant with herbs and vegetables that nourished body and soul. Anna taught Caleb the names and uses of the plants, their shared knowledge deepening the connection between them and the land. The act of cultivating life became a metaphor for the family they were building, rooted, resilient, and growing. Lily's laughter became the soundtrack of the shack, a melody that transformed the space from a mere shelter to a home filled with love. Anna and Caleb found joy in the small moments. Morning sun filtering through leaves, the soft rustle of pages in the journal, the comfort of a shared meal by the fire. The community's embrace extended beyond gifts and visits. Neighbors offered guidance on child-rearing and home repairs, weaving a network of support that strengthened Anna and Caleb's resolve. With each act of kindness, the shack's walls seemed to expand, encompassing a wider circle of care and connection. Anna often reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from the loneliness and fear that led her into the forest, to the sanctuary of the shack, and now to the vibrant life blossoming within its walls. The path had been fraught with hardship, but it was also marked by unexpected grace and the transformative power of kindness. Caleb's presence was a constant reminder that family could be chosen and built with intention. Together, they nurtured Lily not only with love, but with the lessons of resilience and hope that had carried them through. Their story, once one of solitude and struggle, was now one of connection and renewal. As the seasons shifted, the shack stood strong against wind and rain, a symbol of endurance and home. Anna and Caleb continued to weave their lives together, creating a tapestry rich with shared memories, challenges overcome, and dreams nurtured. In the quiet evenings, as Lily slept peacefully, Anna and Caleb would sit by the fire, their hands entwined and hearts open. The shack, once a refuge for a solitary man, and now a cradle for new life, had become a beacon of community and chosen family, a testament to the healing power of love and the courage to embrace new beginnings. The seasons shifted gently around the small homestead, the forest's vibrant greens deepening into the warm hues of autumn. Within the shack's sturdy walls, life flourished in quiet, steady rhythms. Lily's laughter echoed through the rooms, a bright thread weaving warmth into the fabric of Anna and Caleb's days. As their child grew, so too did Anna's resolve to embrace the future with newfound strength and purpose. Each morning began with soft sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting dappled patterns on the wooden floor. Anna would rise early, her body moving with the practiced grace of motherhood, tending to Lily's needs while nurturing her own aspirations. The shack, once a refuge from fear and solitude, had become a cradle of possibility, where dreams long dormant began to stir. With Caleb's unwavering support, Anna pursued education through correspondence courses and books borrowed from the nearby village. She devoured lessons on child development, teaching methodologies, and community health, driven by a desire to create not only a better life for Lily, but to contribute meaningfully to the world around her. Her evenings were often spent by the firelight, pages turning softly as Caleb watched with quiet pride. Caleb, too, found his place within this evolving tapestry. He balanced his work in the forest with helping Anna nurture their home and child. His steady hands built shelves for Anna's growing collection of books and crafted toys for Lily from scraps of wood. Their partnership was a dance of mutual respect and shared dreams, each strengthening the other in ways words could scarcely capture. The garden they had planted flourished, a symbol of their joint effort and care. Fresh herbs and vegetables graced their simple meals, nourishing body and spirit alike. Anna delighted in teaching Lily the names of plants and the magic of growth, instilling in her a reverence for the earth that had sustained them. As the community around them embraced their family, Anna grew into a role beyond the shack's walls. She began volunteering at the village school, sharing her knowledge and passion with other young mothers and children. Her gentle guidance and first-hand experience made her a valued mentor, bridging gaps and fostering connections that rippled through the community. Caleb's quiet strength was the foundation upon which Anna built her confidence. Their evenings were filled with conversations about hopes and fears, challenges and triumphs. They spoke openly of the past, acknowledging wounds while refusing to be defined by them. Together, they crafted a vision of family rooted in love, resilience, and shared purpose. Lily thrived amidst this nurturing environment, her curious eyes reflecting the love that surrounded her. As she took her first steps and learned to speak, Anna and Caleb celebrated each milestone as a testament to the journey they had undertaken. Their home, once a solitary shack, now overflowed with laughter, learning, and life. Yet, beneath the surface of progress, Anna remained mindful of the fragility inherent in their path. The forest outside the shack was a reminder of both beauty and unpredictability, and she carried a quiet determination to safeguard the family they had created. Her studies included lessons on health and safety, preparing her to face whatever challenges might come. The shack itself stood as a symbol of transformation, a place where despair had given way to hope, where isolation had blossomed into community. Its walls bore the marks of countless hands and hearts, each contributing to the legacy of endurance and compassion. Anna's reflections often turned to the solitary man whose journal had first drawn her into this world. His story, once a distant echo, had become a foundation upon which she built her own. In honoring his struggles, she found strength to forge a different narrative, one of connection, empowerment, and the unbreakable bonds of chosen family. As autumn's colors deepened and the air grew crisp, Anna prepared to share their story beyond the boundaries of the forest. Encouraged by friends and neighbors, she began writing, a memoir interwoven with lessons learned, challenges overcome, and the transformative power of kindness. Her words carried the hope that others might find courage in their own journeys. Caleb stood beside her as she penned the first pages, his steady presence a reminder that no path is walked alone. Together, they envisioned a future where the shack's legacy would extend far beyond its weathered walls, inspiring others to embrace resilience and community. In the quiet moments before dusk, Anna often held Lily close, feeling the steady beat of her heart against her own. The shack, the forest, and the community had shaped their lives, but it was the love they nurtured together that defined their home. Their story was one of survival. Yes, but also of flourishing, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to heal, grow, and hope. The morning sun filtered softly through the canopy, casting dappled light across the shack's worn wooden floor. Outside, the forest stretched endlessly, a tapestry of greens and golds that whispered stories of resilience and renewal. Within these humble walls, Anna sat by the window, cradling Lily in her arms, her gaze distant yet peaceful, a reflection of the journey that had brought them here. She thought back to the day she had stumbled upon this weathered shelter, lost, frightened, and uncertain of what lay ahead. The shack had been more than a physical refuge. It had become a crucible where she confronted her fears, unearthed her strength, and discovered the profound depths of hope. It was here that she had learned that being lost was not an end, but a beginning, a chance to find oneself amidst the wilderness. The path had been fraught with hardship, moments of despair, loneliness, and doubt, but also marked by unexpected kindness, connection, and the transformative power of community. Caleb's steady presence had been a beacon, guiding her through the darkest nights and into a future shaped by love and resilience. Together, they had forged a family not bound by blood, but by choice, nurturing a child who embodied the promise of new beginnings. Anna's thoughts turned to the life they had built, the garden blossoming with herbs and vegetables, the laughter that filled the once silent shack, the neighbors who had become friends and allies. The shack, once a symbol of isolation, now stood as a testament to the enduring strength of chosen family and the healing power of compassion. She reflected on the lessons etched into her soul. The courage to face the unknown, the grace to accept help, and the determination to transform pain into purpose. Writing their story had been a way to honor the past and inspire others, a gift born from the belief that even in the harshest conditions, hope could flourish. Lily stirred in her arms, her bright eyes meeting Anna's with a trust that filled the room with warmth. The child was a living reminder that love could transcend hardship, that new life could emerge from the shadows of loss. Anna whispered promises of safety, hope, and endless love, vowing to protect the fragile light they had nurtured together. Outside, the forest breathed with the gentle rhythm of life. Birds singing, leaves rustling, and sunlight filtering through branches. The shack, weathered yet steadfast, stood as a silent witness to the journey from solitude to belonging. It was a place where stories intertwined, where wounds had begun to heal, and where the future was forged with courage and grace. Anna rose, carrying Lily to the door, and stepped onto the porch. The cool morning air embraced her, carrying the scents of pine, earth, and new beginnings. She looked out over the landscape that had both challenged and cradled her, feeling a profound connection to the land and to the people who had become her chosen family. As she stood there, Anna understood that their story was not just her own. It was a shared narrative of endurance, love, and transformation. It was a reminder that even in the most unlikely places, light could find its way, and that the bonds forged in adversity could become the foundation for a life rich with meaning. With Lily nestled safely against her, Anna smiled, a quiet, knowing smile that spoke of gratitude and hope. The shack behind her was no longer merely a shelter. It was a home, a beacon, and a legacy. Their journey had begun in loss, but it had blossomed into a story of belonging, courage, and the unbreakable ties that hold us together. As the sun climbed higher, bathing the forest in golden light, Anna stepped forward, ready to embrace the horizon and all the possibilities it held. Their past had shaped them, but it would not define them. Together, they would continue to grow, to heal, and to share the profound truth that even when lost, we can find our way home.